I know that last session of the day, it's been very difficult to continue for the whole day since it started in the this windy morning, I should say. So this is a technical session and we are here to discuss some emerging fraud risks and cyber crimes. And yes, of course, we will discuss the role of forensic accountants for these cyber crimes. Before starting on the session, I just want to give a small example that how cyber crimes or how this thing happens. Because I lost my phone just half an hour before. Someone have taken it out from my pocket. Immediately I rushed out to the mobile store and just blocked my SIM. So I got late in coming to the session now, just coming to the mobile store and just called to the banks and all for the mobile apps which I was using for the banks. Just called to the customer care immediately just now 5 minutes back and blocked my all accounts and cards. So in this session we will discuss detail about this topic, this cyber frauds and crimes and all these things. So I once again welcome all of you. Just shared one example. So today's session we are having among with us Dr. Vikas Pathak sir, who belongs to Indian Police Service and presently is Deputy IG of Rajasthan Police Department. And sir is having a specialization of cyber crime. So I will also take personal advice from sir for the things which have been happened with me just before the session. We welcome you in the session, sir. Thank you very much for coming. Despite of your busy schedule, and sir, I have cancelled one outstation official meeting also for our session. Thank you very much, sir. Our another learned speaker of the session is Mr. Baldava. And sir is a senior partner in EY, and what I should say about sir, he is having a tremendous knowledge and expertise about the forensic investigation, forensic accounting. Sir is also associated with the ICAI board, who is involved in the drafting of draft exposure of forensic accounting and investigation board. So I again welcome you, sir, in the session. Amongst us, we are having CA Lokesh Kasat ji, who is having more than 15 years of expertise in the accounts and audits and these forensic matters. We welcome you, Lokesh Kasat ji. Lokesh ji have also been served as the chairman of the Jaipur branch. Thank you, Lokesh ji, for joining. We also have among us CA Surbhi Jain. Surbhi Jain is presently working with the Deloitte and she is expert of cyber security. So we'll also take her advice for I have lost my phone and all these things. So friend, today's session is all about the financial frauds, risk and all about this cyber crimes. It can be happened with anyone without any pre-notice or without any prior information. So that's why the role of a forensic accountant or investigator plays a very vital and important role, right? So the session flow will go like this. First, after my brief introduction, I will hand over the session to our key speaker, Mr. Baldava sir, who will deliberate for 30 minutes about the role of forensic accountant presently, what is the expectation of regulator, right? What are the possible future opportunities for chartered accountants in this particular field, right? And how forensic audit goes. So that will be discussed by Baldava sir. Then we will have an open panel discussion in which we will have we will ask some expert questions from our expert panelists, Dr. Pathak sir, Lokesh Kasat sir and Surbhi ma'am. So friend, let me tell you that we all have heard from childhood of our CA could be proven in the court of law and charge could be created, right? So my question to you, Lokesh, is that as far as this preservation of evidence is concerned, what is the term relevancy is defined in context of preservation of evidences? Can you elaborate about relevancy?
Yes, first of all, good evening everyone, and thank you for inviting me here as a panelist on one of my favorite area of the practice, forensic audit. Talking about the relevance, so I will say relevance, I will divide it in two types. First, relevance in context to evidence and relevance in context to preserving the evidence.
Okay.
So what is the meaning of relevance here? When we do forensic audit, for every case, the term relevance is different. Means directly jumping out on the thing, relevance is particular, a point, a particular definition is there of relevance is not the answer. So first of all, we need to understand the case, that what exactly the case is, and accordingly, we need to find that what are the chronological orders of the case, that where was the exact fraud happened, and according to that, we need to do hit and trial. Means fraudster will never come in front and say, I have done the fraud, just identify me. We need to find that where the points have been hidden. So relevance for evidence means, I will say, understand the circumstances first. And that will be the answer to the word relevance. And talking for the preserving the evidence. So as ma'am said, preserving the evidence, we have two options. First, we can take our own hard drives, own systems, or on the clouds, we can use to preserve the evidence. Considering my personal experience and what I have learned in those 15 years of forensic audit, I will say that with the data which is, you want that it should be secured in a very secured way. It should be taken first on your local drive, and you should always use private cloud for securing and for preserving the evidence. Private cloud means the control of which is in our hand, is in our organization hand, and then only the term relevance can be defined. So preserving the evidence either on local drive, and it should be encrypted. There are various tools that through which we can encrypt the data on our hard drive, and again taking on the data to the cloud, and it should be a private cloud for the relevance purpose.
Right. So you rightly said that what is the role of the preservance of evidence particularly, and how it should be produced, and in what form it should be kept in security. Sir, I want to add on one question here from you. Yes, my question is related to that only, sir. So I want to just elaborate that. What important role evidences plays in forensic investigations? You have done the investigation, you have identified, yes, fraud was there. You identified your own. But how to communicate it to the court of law, to the stakeholders who have allotted the forensic investigation and this forensic search to you? Sir.
Thanks, Abhi. Just I'll add to what Lokesh said. I think from an Indian Evidence Act perspective, they differentiate between relevance and admissibility. So relevance is an evidence may be relevant to a case where they identify the fact pattern, etc. and all. But whether that is admissible or not will depend on whether you have followed the process for collecting that evidence. A simple example is you may have identified a document, which is an email, which is relevant to the case. But if you have not followed the process for identifying that evidence, so for example, you don't have the hash value of that document, you have not followed the relevant forensic procedures to extract that document, then it will not be admissible in a court of law. So in simple terms, a document or a sort of evidence can be relevant but not admissible. So you need to be very clear that you follow the defined process under the law. If you want the evidence that you are gathering, which is relevant, is admissible in a court of law. So for that, if it is say a physical document, then there are procedures prescribed. If there is an electronic document, there are procedures prescribed under the IT Act as well as IPC. Plus, if it is say a bank document, there are again procedures prescribed. How do you obtain a certified copy? So you need to make sure that you are following the defined procedures under the Indian Evidence Act as well as the relevant law for the evidence that you have gathered, which is relevant but also admissible in a court of law. So I hope that clarifies.
But one more thing here, sir. In evidence, I think, sir, during forensic, we have to follow both the channels, formal and informal. Means relevance evidence we can make through informal channels also. But as sir rightly said, to be it in court, to put it in court of law, after getting the relevance evidence, try to get how it can be the admissible evidence in court.
And the biggest challenge is, sir, the source of data. Whether it is from the primary source or secondary source. Maybe it is from the primary source, then it is easy to get the acceptability in the court of law. But it is from if it is from the indirect source or secondary source, then it is very much difficult, first of all, to create the evidence, to preserve it, and to produce in the court of law. So there is a lot of...
something is missing. So what I would like to quote over here is that AI and ML techniques should be incorporated in those CM tools.
Understand. So what Surbhi have rightly said that logging trail should be one of the factors which should be there. So at least we can find it out that who have breached the data and at what time data was breached and how we can take the further action against it. Lokesh, I want to add one quick question to you from here only. How we chartered accountant can be technically equipped ourselves to go to complete the process of the forensic audit, because we understand that forensic audit is not a single process. It's a combination of multiple or various process: identification of red flags, analysis of information, evidences, preservances, produced in the court of law, and like this. So what is your suggestion how we should be technically equipped for complete the forensic audit?
Talking for how chartered accountant can be technically equipped and and how we can proceed further. For this, I just want to share my experience in the initial days of my career when I qualified my CA. I'm just talking about the physical evidence. So I worked with BCCI when the IPL was launching. I was the part of the audit team, and the action was taken against some of the promoters of the IPL. And after that, we have seen that how the forensic team had took these steps, and we learned that how the physical points has been noted down. So talking on the tools, so I will say before getting any tools, we chartered accountants, first of all, should learn that how the frauds happen, and taking it on a tool, we should learn the computer system first. We should learn the Excel first. Means before taking on the big data, sir, we should take a small data and must understand that if we put the data on a software, what will be the output? How will be the processing?
I'm asking this question to you, because even in this, we are sitting in 2023. Some of us treat computer as a black box only. It is only to writing of the Word document,
exactly,
writing
sir.
to application, writing of some letters, that's it. Or maybe Excel is required only for presentation of the balance sheet, function, that's it.
Considering the tools, we chartered accountant, what we generally say, कि कोई data लेंगे, we will take a big data, computer system में डालेंगे, output जाएगा. In forensic, this approach is completely wrong. We should and we must understand how the software work, what type of analysis the software does. So tools and techniques, I will say, can be developed. We all work on Excel, and believe me, every software on the back end is working on Excel only. So if we learn Excel first, we must learn that what are the various Excel tools are there. We must learn that how to combine the various formulas and applying the fraud and applying the various knowledge that what we have taken. We can develop our own tools, techniques and software.
Right.
Sir, in my forensic audit, I never use any software for any big data. I develop my own tool for each and every case.
Right.
Yes, for big data, for analysis purpose, if I understand the case, for analysis purpose, I will use the third-party tools. But for first understanding the case, we chartered accountant must develop our own tool that
Right,
would have
and for each and every case, it is not required to get some third-party software and all, maybe on case-to-case basis.
Sir, because
if the size is big, data is big, maybe you require some third-party software and all.
So because fraudster also knows that if he got caught out, then there are the tools available.
Understood.
Now fraudster is also an intelligent person.
Right.
So we should first understand his mindset that
so
what
friends,
exactly
we all
is
should
going
be technically equipped for conducting the forensic audit. Pathak sir, one quick question from you. What awareness program